What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the AJ Plays channel. Today, guys, I'm going to be bringing to you my 2022 predictions for the MLW postseason and my official bracket predictions with games that each team is going to win, who is going to go ahead and win the ALDS, NLDS, ALCS, NLCS, and the World Series. I'm going to be giving that to you right now, one by one, an analysis of each matchup, each series. And I'm gonna just tell you, things, these predictions could be a little bit hot on paper, but we'll see how exactly they go. Just be ready, because there are a couple of these that may make some of you fans mad, but I'm a Metro Magic fan, so I won't get pissed. I've already gotten pissed this season, so I won't get pissed this time. Anyways, let's get right into it, and we're starting off with the ALDS, the Pacific Predators 3 seed versus the Western Wildcats number 2 seed. All right, so starting things off again, as I probably just said, 3 seed Pacific Predators versus 2 seed Western Wildcats. So yeah, so for this series, we saw these two teams go head to head earlier in the season, but around the second slate, so things have obviously changed since that point. Since then, the Pacific Predators, I believe this season they've been really solid. They had only one bad series against the Coastal Cobras, and Warder was proved right when he said that they all had a bad day, considering they came right back and ended up winning against the then NL leaders in the Eastern Eagles. They won that series 2-1. They are riding out a 9-6 season, coming back from last season where they missed the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Western Wildcats are riding a 6-game winning streak, but granted, all those were against very, very poor competition, to say the least. So what I'm going to say for this series, considering the Wildcats have done really good, but only against more mediocre talent, I guess I gotta go with probably a 2-1 Pacific Predators series win. The reason I'm gonna go with this is because what happens to the Western Wildcats when they go up against more Cy Young caliber talent in Ryan Kratch? And you look at Brendan Russell, who's actually performed really well even since the beginning of the season. He's had 6 home runs. Kratch has had 7. Ward has had 4. The hitting has returned to back up the pitching. These guys, they are firing on all cylinders, and who knows what happens to guys like Jackson Pearson and Kyle Schultz, who struggled a little bit against guys like Ryan Kratch earlier in the season. It's going to be definitely a close series, but I think the Prez will barely edge this out, and they will move on to the ALCS to face the Coastal Cobras. Moving right along to the NLDS, some of you are going to find this a very hot take, considering the record differences between the two teams, and you can probably already tell based on the kinds of words that I'm using. I'm really going to go in 3 games. Downtown Diamondbacks take this from the Eastern Eagles. Now, some of you may be saying, AJ, what the hell is wrong with you? The Eagles are 10-5 compared to the Diamondbacks 5-10. Let me explain. First off, the Diamondbacks did win the regular season series, and Jonah Heath, that's when Jonah Heath started to heat up this season. He did really well in that series. I am assuming that the Diamondbacks are going to be able to ride some of this positive momentum and play from their hitters as well as their pitching. Jimmy Norp's pitching has gone back up to his 2021 level, and his ERA has gone down to 2.20 to end the regular season. I feel like Jimmy Norp, if he's pitching on the mound really well and his hitters are doing their job, it's going to be really hard for a team that I thought had the deepest lineup in MLW, but as of late, in the second half, the Eastern Eagles have gone 2-4. These guys went from first place by a 3-game lead to all of a sudden falling to the second seed and having to play an extra series in the playoffs. They did see these guys really recently, but if Jimmy Norp is pitching every single game, which I hope he does, and he may need to pitch every game because the second pitching has not been the greatest this season, who knows what exactly is going to happen. Plus, Dallas Allen is slowly being seen by more hitters. He's not as dominant as he once was earlier in the season. I personally think that just based not only on momentum, but also how these guys are swinging the bats as of late, I really do feel like this is a series that the Downtown Diamondbacks are going to take 2-1. It's going to be a close series like the ALDS. This is going to be probably one of the closest years of playoff matchups that we do see, because by the time you get to the playoffs, forget record, it's just now based on talent that every team has and what they bring to the field on that certain day. So forget the record difference between these two teams, because we know that this same Diamondbacks team won a World Series last year, and they can do the same again if everything goes their way this postseason. It seems as if the further we move into the bracket, the more difficult it gets to actually make decisions on what teams are going to move on into the next round. Because all three of the teams in the NL can very well go ahead and win and move on to the World Series for that matter. But anyways, getting back on track here, the ALCS, we have the 3 seed Pacific Predators versus the 1 seed Coastal Cobras. Let me break it down like this. Baranowski versus Crouch on the mound is going to be a spectacular sight to see. Those two guys are going to be going at it the entire series. You know it for a fact. Those two will be dueling on the mound. I don't know how much offense will actually occur, but some of you may be saying, well, Sawyer Bean might have another great day like he did against the Preds. I'm not going off the regular season series for that because I truly do believe it was not a good day for the Pacific Predators. That series, they did not show their best. They did not look like the team that we thought they were. They did, however, prove that they did have an off day after they played against the Eastern Eagles and took care of business against them and almost snatched a 2 seed away from the Western Wildcats, almost pulling off the sweep. However, in this series, it's going to come down to the pitching. I got to go in this series 2-1 Predators once again. Who knows if Drew Davis, Sean Flynn, and Sawyer Bean will all be able to perform in the playoffs. I have a feeling Andy Durand is not going to be there anyways because of his football obligations. I just feel that the Predators are more experienced in this state of competitiveness in the playoffs. I feel like the Predators have the best shot of going ahead and winning this series, mainly due to the fact that they are used to this stage. They've been here before. They have more experienced guys. And as of late, every guy is swinging the bat really well. I'm going to be completely real. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Predators series win just based on not only the experience and state of competitiveness, but also due to the fact that I feel like the Predators are still one of the most dangerous teams in MLW this season, even though the Cobras are up there as well. And I personally would love to see the Cobras win a World Series. I don't know how they will perform when the pressure is on to go ahead and beat one of the best teams in the league in the state of the league championship series. You know, I think this might be the only series that probably won't be as close as the rest of them, and there is mainly one reason why. Jordan Robles is entering the MLW postseason, and it's Jordan freaking Robles we're talking about here. I think I'm going to go with a Mallards 2-0 sweep of the downtown Dbacks. I don't think the series games will be close. I think the actual games, they will be close, but it's going to look like a sweep. It's going to be 2-0 Mallards. It's going to be a very valiant fight put up by the downtown Diamondbacks, but who knows how much gas a guy like Jimmy Norp, who has been dealing with an injury this season, that's why he hasn't really pitched at his best. I don't know how much he's got in him. On the mound, how much can he do? Considering Jonah Heath is becoming very hittable, Trey Flood and Casey Bennett haven't fully developed yet as pitchers. If this is a league that pitching is really dependent, it's Jordan Robles who is going to probably get the job done against a downtown D-backs team that he was able to shut down months ago. And who knows what D-backs team will come to the field that day too. I know that the Mallards, as of late, they seem to have been rolling through their opponents as much as they have played the Magic and the Gators. Guys like Tommy Coughlin have shown that they can hit pretty well off of guys like Jimmy Norp, as well as, for example, a Brendan Baranowski or a Sawyer Bean of the Coastal Cobras if they were to go against the Cobras in the World Series. We have seen that Tommy Coughlin and Jordan Robles can both do their magic against a guy like Jimmy Norp. We've seen that in the D-backs Mallard series earlier this season. At the plate, those guys, I wouldn't say they'd be enough, but they definitely have the pieces already to go get the job done, 1. And 2, if Norp's pitching isn't sustainable enough versus Jordan Robles, who we know will be a menace on the mound that series, I personally believe that the Mallards, they have the weapons that they need to go ahead and possibly dethrone the 2021 champions, downtown D-backs, and limit them from their second consecutive World Series appearance. I think somehow we are going to have a Predators-Mallards World Series matchup. The two teams that missed the playoffs in 2021 will go ahead and face off in the World Series in 2022. Folks, this is it. The big stage, the World Series, a best-of-5 series between the Pacific Predators and the Midwest Mallards. Alec Warda versus Tommy Coughlin. Ryan Crouch versus Jordan Robles. Brennan Russell versus Caden Irwin. Those are your big threes for each team and probably the critical players for each team heading into a series like this. Damn. This one is probably the most difficult one out of them all because I have said that these guys have shown, even though they each had one poor series this year where they both got swept, they showed how dominant they can truly be. Even if they lost a game, they've shown how competitive they can be and how much they can bring to the wiffle ball field and how they can perform when it matters most. If I really had to pick, I think, as much as I've said a lot about the Predators' experience and stuff, you are talking about a guy on a Midwest Mallards team who has pretty much reinvented their entire franchise, accompanied by a few hitters, one who has definitely revitalized his career entirely. Tommy Coughlin has fixed his hitting this season. He is definitely a candidate for most improved, actually, a pretty underrated one in my opinion. And then you got Jordan Robles, obviously, who's hitting like a madman. He's pitching like a madman. It's Jordan freaking Robles. He's in the Rookie of the Year and MVP and Most Clutch and every other award candidate because you know what? It's Jordan freaking Robles. That takes away nothing from the Pacific Predators, but if I have to choose how the series is going to end up, I'm going to say this is going to be a 3-1 series win in favor of the Midwest Mallards. The Pacific Predators are definitely a very valiant competitor and probably the best team to match up against them from the AL. They have probably the most complete big three. All three guys are hitting really well. And this is a series that you don't know how it can go because we have not seen these Mallards play the Predators in a long time. So with that being said, I think... But yes, I'm going to be going with the Midwest Mallards, going ahead and getting the job done against the Pacific Predators. I think Jordan Robles will continue his pitching dominance. He is going to be able to lock in. It's going to be Tommy Coughlin, in my opinion, who somehow wins the World Series MVP. That will be the biggest Cinderella story. Within 9 months, the guy goes from a laughingstock to a World Series MVP. How the tables will have turned, and it will be a great story to see. I'm probably going to get a lot of these predictions wrong. So for me to go ahead and judge the World Series MVP, that says quite a bit. But that's what I'm going to go with. The Predators, they will put up a very good fight, to say the least. A very good fight. But Robles and the Mallards should be able to get it done in 4 games. It's going to be a 3-1 win for the Midwest Mallards. Tommy Coughlin will have the hitting performance of his life in that series and win the 2022 World Series MVP award. And that will be all for the 2022 MLW season. Guys, I want to thank you guys all very much for watching this video. Drop your postseason takes down below in the description and let me know if you think that I am either delusional or possibly need to seek some mental help of the sort. With that being said, thank you guys all very much for watching. I will see you guys all next time. Peace out.